What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and the series within a series. We, of course, are working on our new player progression for 2024, and we're going to break off into a smaller series inside of that one, which is going to be an introduction to Onslaught mode. As I've been mentioning throughout this series, the new player questline is just super rewarding to do. We are at the stage where the next point of progression on it is going to be to complete 10 Onslaught floors. This is going to give us a Deadly Strike Shard, 1,000 Defender Medals, and 300,000 gold, all three of which are extremely valuable, particularly at this stage in my progression. Now, Onslaught gating is basically you complete the floor before you get the next floor. So if you do floor 3, you're going to unlock floor 4. So the next time you come into play, you can jump right in on floor 4. Now, additionally, each individual expedition is going to have a floor unlock associated with it. So we, of course, have cleared Chaos 4 at this point, so we're going to get an automatic unlock for Onslaught mode. In this particular situation, Chaos 4 is going to unlock floor number 12, so let's hop into floor 12 and check it out. Now, Onslaught mode is similar yet different to Expeditions, where in Expeditions you are fighting the same sets of enemies every single wave, and those enemies change every single expedition tier. So, like for example, in Chaos 4, which we just cleared, it's going to be the exact same enemies every map that we do. In Chaos 5, there will be a new set of enemies, Chaos 6, a new set, etc. In Onslaught, it is the exact same thing, however, each lane is independent of the other. So in this example, you need to inspect what is coming out of each lane. How you build each lane is going to be dependent on what is there, as it is just a game of countering enemies. We see over here on this lane, we have a Geo Throwers lane. This one is going to have Javelin Throwers, Geodes, some little Gobus, and some Draken. Now, with this in mind, in this situation, we know that, like in Chaos 3, where these enemies were all present, auras won. So in that situation, in this particular lane, we would want to use non-projectile defenses, as the Geodes are going to reflect the projectiles, and things like aura spam are definitely going to do the job. Now, down additionally at the bottom, you see there is this soft spot. This is a mutator on this lane only. Enemies have increased resistance, but take extra weak point damage. What it means by weak points is basically headshots. Every enemy has its own special weak point area. For the most part, it is headshots. However, like on skeletons, it is the glowing little gem inside their chest area. So you would want to aim for that chest glow. Most of the other mobs are going to be headshots, though. Taking a look over here, we've got Thrower Vanguards. This one's going to be the little goblins, the little range goblins, and then additionally some Vanguards. So we're going to have those shielded goblins. So in this particular situation, once again, we want to avoid projectiles, as the Vanguard is going to soak up any frontal projectiles. So like aura spam on this lane would be effective as well. Now you see on this lane there is no mutator on the bottom, and that is because we are only here on floor number 12. As you progress through Onslaught, you're going to end up having mutators on every lane. Flyer lanes, ground lanes, everything will have mutators. Over here, we've got Floppy Arms and Pig Boys. This one's going to be some Javelin Throwers, some Melee Goblins, some Range Goblins, and some Warboars. This one, the mutator is Headstrong. Enemies can't be stunned. Now, with that in mind, if you're using any stun in your build, remember freezes are considered a stun. Things like Petrify is considered a stun. Electrocute is considered a stun. So if you're using anything that's a stun, it's not going to work on this particular lane. Over here, we have Cyborgs. Now here we would want to mix it up. We've got some regular orcs, we've got cyborgs, we've got javelin throwers, kobolds, melee goblins, and range goblins. The main countering enemy here we have is cyborgs. Cyborgs, of course, are going to disable ground traps, auras, and nodes. So in this particular lane, we would not want to use ground traps, auras, and nodes. So when we look at this particular combination, both enemies come through into one choke point. So we would want to look at both lanes to see what we would want to put. Since we've got Cyborgs here, we don't want to use traps, auras, or nodes. We'd want to use tower-type defenses. Tower-type defenses are also going to work on this lane. So in this particular situation, I would build back here and use tower-type defenses on the lane with maybe some walls right here. And then that is going to cover all of the lanes that are there. And then we take a look over here. We've got, Big Boys Fodder. This one is Orcs, Melee and Ranged Goblins, and Draken. And then you see the Mutator on this one is Armored. Enemies take reduced physical damage and increased magic damage. Now, the thing to remember here is not only the negative, but the positive, as it's not all negatives for Mutators. There are many, many positives throughout. On this particular one, enemies are going to take increased magic damage. Now, how do you tell the difference between magic damage and physical damage? Well, if you look at your target dummy, you'll just learn all these things naturally as you progress through the game. However, when you have a defense shooting in a target dummy, red numbers, of course, are going to be crits. If you look at the base non-crit numbers, though, any white numbers are going to be physical damage, and any of the purple numbers are going to be magic damage. So with that in mind, we would want to use magic damage on this lane to get the increased magic damage and the damage boost. So like here, we have no cyborgs, meaning ground traps, auras, and nodes will be good. We also have no like vanguards or geodes, so we can really use anything we want on this lane. But we would want to use magic damage. I've been using the flame auras, which are magic damage, so that would be a natural fit on this lane. Now, another important thing to remember about Onslaught mode is it is bracketed, so you're going to see enemies that are equivalent to the tier that you're in. So, like, we're in Chaos 4 gear. We're not going to be seeing Chaos 5 enemies yet until we go up a few more floors. So it's going to be Chaos 4 or lower enemies every time we run in. In addition to that, remember this is an RNG element in the game, meaning that this is not set what Floor 12 is going to be. Floor 12 could be anything from the available pool of mobs and mutators available. So if you get a map where you just really don't like the mutators, or you really don't like the mobs that are there, kind of the meta, particularly with pushing the super high Onslaught, is going to be to re-roll the map. Remember, this game mode was heavily inspired from Diablo 3's Greater Rift system, and when it comes to doing Greater Rifts in Diablo 3, it was all about finding the modifiers that you liked when you were pushing into the higher Greater Rifts. So don't hesitate to re-roll a map. How to re-roll a map is just fail the map. It's going to give you a re-roll option, or you can always just leave and go back out to town and enter into a new map that way. But there is just a brief introduction to Onslaught mode. I kind of wish I was recording the next episode right now, because I think I got a pretty sweet setup on this one. RNG was kind. Now, I am super early with only being floor 12, and as I mentioned, those mutators will end up being on every lane as you progress through Onslaught mode. However, that will do it for this time around. Next episode, we will dive right in and get our first Onslaught map going. However, that is just a brief introduction to Onslaught mode and how it all works. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.